Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to go over the character review for Wolhaiksong Urek Mazino. We're going to talk about how good this unit is, whether you should pull for him or not, and then we're going to go through a quick kit overview. We're going to look at the ignition weapons, the investment he needs, and also some teams you could run him in. That's the plan. We're going to start with the first point, so how good is Wolhaiksong Urek Mazino? Finally, they managed to make a very good Urek. Is, I would say, the best unit in the game. It provides so much to the team, starting from insane damage, really high. He has great grouping, actually the best grouping in the entire game, even better than Irang, I would say. He has also decent utility, he has energy decrease, he has some crowd control, obviously. He has barriers for the team, which are not important, but okay. And he also has physical resistance decrease, he has some crit debuffs, a lot of stuff. In general, really solid unit. He has a few issues with survivability against certain enemies, like White, like Gustang, like Kaiser. Gustang, I mean the Data Gustang. But there are also some more. But basically, everyone that has multi-hits could potentially one-shot him and cause some issues, but is not that bad. It's okay. And with team composition, you can easily also counter White and the other enemies. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just something to keep in mind. If you see him disappearing out of nowhere, there might be a unit that has multi-hit attacks, and that's about it. But it's still decent. It's still acceptable. You are not forced to run Barry on him, which is all I asked for, so that's okay. So yeah, absolutely amazing unit. There is no doubt about that. And if we talk about whether you should pull for him or not, well, you can kind of guess. Definitely pull for him. If you cannot max him out, I would still pull for him, because then on his rerun, you're going to have a lot more copies, so you can more easily max him out. And also is still decent even on lower dupes. So obviously, he's a beast maxed out, but you can use him even if you only manage to get into, I don't know, red, maybe even purple, no problem. You can still use him. He's still gonna be good. So definitely worthwhile. Even if you start today as a new player, I would still go for Urek, and then you max out Gustang as well. So that's kind of the plan. Definitely don't skip this guy. It would be a massive mistake. Great unit. And yeah, that's it for the first 2 points. Let's quickly go through the kit, even though there is not much to say. The passive is going to give him a massive attack, defense, and HP boost that cannot be removed. This is great because it enables him to play with resistances, and we're going to talk more about that in the ignition weapon section. But yeah, really massive. Then we have immunity to status effects. We have also a buff that he gets to attack and special move pierce every time he's hit by a status effect attack. So that's okay, but this can be removed, so don't over rely on it. It's just there when it works, but is not the end of the world if it doesn't. Then we have the damage taken at once cannot exceed 20% of his max HP. That is extremely important. Unfortunately, this does not work on barriers. So he's going to get a 50% HP barrier every time he uses a skill, but this 20% does not work on it. So this is not 2.5 hits. This is 0 hits. As soon as they hit you, they're going to destroy your barrier and remove 20% of your HP. That is if you're going with a DPS build. So keep in mind, your shield will basically never be up if you're going full damage. That's the only thing to keep in mind. Then we have the active skill, Absolute Violence. This one is the first skill he uses every fight. He's going to teleport to the enemy team. The teleportation seems to be a bit random because here it doesn't say any target. And if you retry the same fight, at times it just jumps straight into them and hit all of them. Other times it only hits the front line. It seems to be a bit random. Maybe that's intended, no idea. It's annoying, but okay. Like, it is the first skill he uses, and it's definitely good because it also has a pretty long crowd control. So that's good. Then he's going to just deal damage over time, leave an area on the ground that is going to deal tick of damage every second for 10 seconds, and decrease the enemy physical resistance. So that's a really good active skill. Then we have the second active skill that is just a self buff that is going to give him a critical hit rate increase and a damage taken decrease for 12 seconds. It also has a pretty long crowd control on enemies, but that's just secondary. The main thing is that you're going to have crit rate from this and also damage taken decrease, which is irrelevant if you go with a damage build, but it's going to be pretty massive if you go with the resistance build. Then we have the special move, the core of his whole kit, is going to jump straight in the air in the middle of the battlefield, group them all together, regardless of whether they resist status effects or not. The only units it cannot group are units with the cannot move condition, like the new Hayura when she's singing, or for example, Chomrei. Those cannot be grouped, but they're still going to be hit by the AoE damage that follows, that is 4000% attack. Massive. And he's also invincible while using the skill. Luckily, because otherwise it would die a lot. But it's okay. Really good, and also a 5-second crowd control. Really massive. So the base kit already is great. If we look at the exclusive equipment, there is not much. We have 2 buffs to Power Unleashed, which is physical pierce increase and also crit damage reduction. Okay, not too important, but definitely good. Then for level 3 and 4, we have buffs to Absolute Violence, which is the teleport skill that is going to reduce critical hit resistance of enemies within the area by 60%, and then also reduce their critical damage reduction again for enemies in the area. So you're going to crit more, and your crits are going to deal more damage. Really good, especially looking at how much attack percent he has in his kit. Then for Revolution, he also has very important things. The first one is especially important for the resistance variant, and is going to have an 80% physical resistance increase for 12 seconds, and all effects that you gain from Power Unleashed are going to be unremovable, which means your 80% crit rate and the damage taken reduction and this one are going to be unremovable. Really good. Should also apply to the exclusive equipment. I have not double checked. It hardly matters, I would say. But yeah, definitely great Revolution 4. On his own, maybe not enough, but definitely a really good one. Then, when you take this guy to Rainbow 5, you have access to Revolution 5, 6, and 7. For Revolution 5, we have a 500 energy decrease on the enemies. That is great. That is basically countering Rainbow 5. So, really good stuff. And it, as I said, is going to use this as the first skill in every battle. So, really, really important. Then for Revolution 6, is going to recover 100 energy every second whenever he has a barrier, and also decrease the active skill cooldown by 0.5 seconds. So yeah, every 1 second you're going to decrease all active skill cooldowns by 0.5. Decent, and this is going to guarantee basically 100% uptime on Power Unleashed, which is again very important for the resistance build we're going to mention in a second. And for Revolution 7 is just going to add a 30% max HP damage on the special move, period. Really good. This is spammable. This is not like Gustang special move, or well, actually, Gustang passive max HP damage, because for that you have to wait for the secret library to despawn and respawn. In this case, it's just every time you use the special move, you deal 30% max HP damage. This is great. This is really, really strong. And that's it for Evolution. We're going to talk more about which subnodes to invest in once we start talking about the investment. But yeah, for now, that's about it. Now we can have a look at the ignition weapons. We have different options. So the first one that I put in the best in slot is Runda. This is only used in one scenario though. This is when you have a resistance build Urek. If you are not running resistance build Urek, this is kind of irrelevant. It's better if you run it on a support because the shield is going to be inexistent. So you are basically wasting a set by giving this to Urek. In case you're running full damage builds, Bergamot and Bari are your best options. Barry is just good overall, and when you're facing units like White and the other ones I mentioned that have multi-hit attacks, you're still going to survive at least a little bit. With Bergamot, you would still be one-shotted. So keep that in mind. But if enemies don't have multi-hit attacks, then Bergamot is very, very strong. Alocasia is also decent, but I would wait for the buff before we actually build a set. I tried it, it was doing just fine. It's the same as Yugo, basically, it gets less basic attacks, and that's less damage taken. As simple as that. It doesn't work if your evasion is low and stuff like that. We'll see how they're going to rework it. Maybe it could become the best set, but we don't know at the moment. So far, as I said, Runda is if you run a resistance build. What do I mean by that? You just need to run slot 4 magic resistance and then look for some magic resistance rolls in the substats. Once you get to 99%, it would be better if you get to 104%, or if you get to 115%, depending on which kind of enemies you're facing. But I would say 104% is enough so that also for hard mode you are covered. And in that case, it will be perfect because you will get 80% physical resistance just from the revolution. That is going to be up all the time thanks to the max cooldown reduction node. And also the revolution, I think it was 6, that provided the active skill cooldown reduction. So that will be up all the time. You will be super tanky. The additional shield from Runda and the shield from your passive are going to help a ton with survivability. So that's probably the best way to run him. Only if you are again below, let's say, 450, 500 deficit, because after that you still kind of get destroyed anyway, even with the resistance build. So keep that in mind. Only go for this if you have, one, the resources to invest in Revolution, because this is going to be a lot more expensive, and also if you are not higher than, let's say, 500 deficit. So yeah, that is just probably the best way to run him, but also the most expensive, and the one that in the future will still have to be replaced if you are forced to push indefinite deficits. So that's kind of what I wanted to mention here. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, but it should be pretty easy to understand and pretty straightforward. Then we have the investment guide. So for this one, we have, as usual, the 3 tiers of investment. The mandatory one, we just have it 0 dupes. And in this case, is because he has insane grouping anyway. His durability is decent, and with the right teammates, he can stay alive. You can also buff his damage enough for his 2000% special move and also 300% attack buff in the passive to actually put in some work, and he can still annihilate a lot of enemies. So even without full investment, he is usable. I wouldn't say he's insane, but he's definitely a really, really good unit. And the more dupes you get, the better it gets, obviously. But the next jump, that is the recommended, I went directly to Rainbow 5. Before we go there, let me just comment on the stats for the ignition weapon. So I wrote crit damage and physical pierce. That is because before Rainbow 5, I don't even recommend considering the resistance build. It will not work. Or it would work, but you have to also build physical resistance, which I normally don't recommend for the resistance variant of the build. So yeah, just keep it in mind. If you want to go resistances, you can, but you have to run basically 99% resistances in both of them. So yeah, that's what I wanted to mention. For recommended, we have Rainbow 5. We have also here slot 4 for the gear. This is only, again, for the resistance variant. And this is also what I recommended here for stats. We have magic resistance slot 4, physical pierce slot 5. Then in the substats, you want to go obviously for magic resistance until you get to a certain level of it. As we said, 99%, 104%, 115%, one of these 3 basically. Then we have physical pierce and crit damage, your main focuses, and the rest is kind of random. He has effect resistance, he has effect hit, in the Revolution subnodes. He has accuracy. Evasion is only if you have a good archive. So I would say these three are basically mandatory. The other four, up to you. Here I also added the note about the resistance build not working above 500 deficit. So I said if your deficit is 500 or above, you can run slot 4 crit damage instead. And that's it. And in that case, run Bari or Bergamo. So the information is here as well. Then we see the revolution cost for this build. It's extremely high. It is 168k, and that's because we need lifesteal, really important for his passive, so that every time he uses his special move, he's basically back to full HP. Then accuracy, up to whatever you need. Defense and HP, extremely important, otherwise the resistance build is not going to work. Max cooldown reduction, also extremely important, otherwise the resistance build is not going to work. And then we have crit damage, attack, special move pierce, effect hit, and lastly, effect resistance. I also added a note to say that if you want to go for the damage build, HP and defense can be left at 0, and max cooldown reduction becomes less important. So max cooldown reduction at that point, you can do it after probably at least attack, something like that. It's still good, but it's not mandatory. Okay, that's the point. Then we have the nice to have. It is basically the same, still the resistance build, but here we also had critical hit resistance and special move resistance. And well, actually also evasion, but that's really not necessary unless you're building evasion already. And critical hit resistance is great because it's 90%. Enemies in adventure get up to 95, 105 if they have the critical hit rate increase in the exclusive equipment. So that's the maximum they can get. Decreasing it by 90% is going to be massive for the resistance build. If you're not going for the resistance build, that's also relevant. Special move resistance, similar logic. This is 60% less damage when the enemies attack you with a special move. So also really strong. And the note this time also said that for the damage build, you can leave HP defense, critical hit resistance, and special move resistance at 0. So that's just it, and the same thing about the max cooldown reduction. And yeah, that's all in terms of investment. That's all you need to know. Let me know if you have any questions left, but it should be pretty clear as well. Then we have some team building. Here, as usual, we have some questions with the answer at first that are: what does this unit provide to the team? We have grouping, energy decrease, barriers, and physical resistance decrease. I did not write massive damage, but that's also something he provides, obviously. The things he needs from the team are energy, HP recovery block, healing, or a bit of survivability in general, because healing works really well with him thanks to his damage cap on the passive. He also kind of needs defense decrease because he doesn't have those, and buff removal because he also doesn't have that. So these are really important things to provide. If you can give him all of them, amazing. If you can give him only a few, it's still great. So really, really strong. The enemies you should avoid, already mentioned, are enemies with multi-hit attacks because they can kill you extremely fast. Some examples that I already mentioned are Dr. Gustan, White, and Kaiser, but you can always change the team to account for them, and it's not really a problem. The enemies that this unit is good against are obviously anyone. You can just tweak your team so that you can counter some specific scenarios, but you can beat anything with Urek. Some synergies that I wanted to mention are Anniversary Iwa. In this case, she can be very low dupes because she has an healing when your HP go below a certain threshold. She's going to heal you back, which is going to be massive again for Urek passive. That's going to be a really good synergy. And if you only have her, I don't know, blue, purple, red, use her with Urek is going to make the most out of her, and the other teams wouldn't really do much with Iwa anyway. She also provides the buff removal and the AoE energy decrease, so really, really strong. Then we have Shia, great healing over time, decent survivability, nothing major, but that's more than enough. She has a buff removal, she has defense decrease, really all that Urek needs. So strong. She can also run Runda. This is important if you're not running Urek with the resistance variant. So insane support unit. We also have Garam, Princess of Zard, so XSR plus Garam, because she has the buff and debuff removal, and she also has HP recovery block and special move Pierce. All of that is great for Urek, so definitely a great combination as well. Another unit that is a bit of overkill, I would say, is Sharon. She's going to give him survivability, obviously, insane, energy, and yeah, that's basically it. But the survivability Sharon provides is going to be more than enough. And all the other damage buffs are also relevant, but not too much. I would say just energy and survivability are what basically Sharon is providing. The same can be done by Mama Nak, but the issue with Anak is that she also needs survivability for herself, and Sharon doesn't. Sharon is just gonna survive, and Mama Nak is going to need somebody else to keep her alive. So that's the only difference. They both work. I don't recommend running them with Urek. I'm sure you can find some better uses in other teams, but if you want, they definitely work well together. We also have Okni. Is going to provide initial energy, which unfortunately Urek cannot really use, because Urek is always going to use the active skill first. Even if he has 1000 energy at the start of the battle, it doesn't matter. He's going to use the active skill. So the energy provided by Hockney at the start of the battle is going to be useless, but the energy provided throughout the fight is still going to be there, and the evasion increase can also help Urek survive and dodge some annoying hits. So in general, it's still good. Also provides healing whenever Urek dodges, so again, a lot of synergy there. But yeah, you don't need him. You can use him in some other teams. It's just something I wanted to point out. Then we have a unit that just fall off insanely hard. I think, 6-7 months ago, maybe a bit more. And that is Blanc. She has great healing. She has pretty decent effects like status effect, immunity, debuff immunity, and stuff like that. She's good now with Urek because she has an active skill that basically provides the Hiwayon passive, but on an active skill. So whenever Urek is going to go below a certain threshold, if he has the active skill of Blanc on him, is going to recover HP, which is going to make him more durable. She also has the AoE healing, which is going to be massive, attack and defense increase. So overall, a good addition if you're going resistance Urek. But yeah, I just wanted to mention her because she's okay, she's decent. Obviously, these are not the only synergies. These are just some interesting ones I wanted to mention, but it's going to work with basically anything. Here we have some example of teams. The one on the left is always monocolor, and I try not to use unavailable units, other than in this case Garam, but okay. And the others are just very, very basic units. You can use him even solo. You don't really need a team, to be honest. But these units could be acceptable. The reason why there is a Kumashini that people might say, what the hell is Kumashini doing here, is because some units, like again, Gustang, Kaiser, White, have a lot of hits, and if they attack Kumashini, it's better than if they attack Urek. So you could place, like, if you're facing White, you can place Mashini in the location where White is supposed to jump, and that's going to buy enough time for Urek to use the special move normally. But yeah, it kind of depends on the matchup. This is just here as a distraction to get some initial hits so that this guy doesn't die too fast. Blanc is here for the healing. Leroro is also great because he has an AoE effect that is going to decrease the defense of enemies and the swiftness of enemies. The area is not too big, but with Urek grouping, is going to hit all enemies at all times. Really strong. And Garam is just there again for the special move increase and the healing block, especially the healing block. You can replace her with somebody else. Obviously, you can use Pure Baranak or other units with a pure cover block. You can use unit with Provoke and Myongul, kind of up to you. Then for the multicolor team, I tried to add some additional weird interactions. We have, Revolution Bomb is basically an upgraded Leroro. It's going to have a swiftness decrease that is higher than Leroro. It's going to have a defense decrease that is, again, higher than Leroro. And also really good crowd control in general, so really decent. and it's going to leverage the grouping from Urek. You don't need any dupes on BAM for this. It can be fine even at 0 dupes. Then we have Hayura. This is just an emergency revive. And also, she's going to block the energy recovery for all enemies because they're going to be grouped up by Urek, and she's just going to hit all of them. Then we have Hayura, the SSR Plus. She's there as the only support, basically, other than the other Hayura, because Urek grouping happens super quickly if he's Rainbow 5, so she can hit all the enemies with the Fanatic active skill, which is important, which means she's basically never gonna die. Massive. Then we have Hayuri Kranos. She's here for the HP recovery block. It only lasts 20 seconds, but in 20 seconds, Urek can kill a lot of enemies. And the good thing, if you can pull it off, I still didn't manage to, but if you can make it so Urek can actually cast his special move a bit earlier than normal, then Yuri could hit enemies that are below 50% HP and execute them. That's probably the only scenario where Yuri could actually trigger the execute on the special move. So I wanted to try it out. I tried everything, I still couldn't make it. Maybe I need more swiftness. Maybe 150 swiftness on Urek could work. No way I can get there yet. So we'll see. If you have 150 swiftness Urek, let me know if it works. The issue is that, yeah, no, there should be no issue. I think 150 should be possible. He's going to dash and then use the special move. So maybe, why not? Definitely decent team. Is it the best? No, but is definitely good. And you don't need dupes on Yura. You definitely need at least orange 4 on Kronos Yuri. You don't need any dupes on BAM, and Hayura you normally have Rainbow 5, so it's okay. You can literally run whatever you want, guys. If a unit needs grouping, then they can be used with Urek because it provides that. If you can provide him with some additional survivability that can be healing, that can be anything you want really, that's gonna be fine. So yeah, super versatile unit. You can use him wherever, and he's going to provide massive value to any team. I would say, guys, that's all for the character review. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.